ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're watching us on Broadway World on social media or listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network. I am excited. Look, I grew up in New Jersey. I was born in 1983. I can tell you Cellino and Barnes. I could sing 888, 8888. I could do it. We all know it. But did you know they had like a crazy relationship? Allegedly? And they broke up? Like a bad Tinder date romance? I'm obsessed with this story. And the people in this show, Eric William Morris, coming from the Broadway, and Noah Weisberg, who's coming from also the Broadway, and they're here doing the Cellino versus Barnes. I need to know everything about it. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
You all are on stage for 80 uproarious, crazy minutes. I heard the stage has vertical blinds. I heard the stage has boxes. I heard the stage I heard all sorts of things. How, Eric William Morris, did you get thrown into this crazy story?
Well, like a bad Tinder date, I was roped in. The script is so funny. Breen David Rafailedes, our writers, wrote something that when I read it, when it came my way, I was like, well, this is ridiculous. I also was born in New Jersey. I also right around the same exact year as you. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Glen Rock, baby.
All right. So look, come on, Bergen County.
I got roped in because I know that thing. It haunts my dreams, that jingle.
And so the show, while we're talking about it, I just want people to know that it's playing right now. They're going to go leave this interview and go put on a weekend's worth of shows. And before we get too deep involved into it all, you can get your tickets at Cellino-V-Barnes.com. So get your tickets. Noah, you're not from New Jersey.
I'm not, but I've gone there. There's an IKEA there.
Yes.
So I've gone to Elizabeth.
That's lovely.
Just saying.
Isn't it just a magical place?
Yes.
And so how did you get involved in the Cellino v. Barnes moment?
My introduction, even before the hysterical script, was my love of our two directors, Alex and Wes. And when I understood that they were involved, I was like, yep. And they're like, well, you haven't read it yet. I was like, no, I don't care.
Okay, done.
We don't know how much you're getting paid. I was like, it's fine. I'll take college credit, whatever you got. Want to do it. And then the script was so my manager read it first. And she was like, A, don't say yes to stuff without reading it. B, you lucked out because this is the funniest script I've ever read. And then it just is.
I have there are no dumb questions, but there are dumb questions. So my question to you, Eric, is how did the writers know this story? Like, how do we know the story?
It's a great question. So one of the writers, Mike Breen, grew up in the Buffalo area, which is where the Cellino and Barnes law firm started. And he went to school, I think, with one of Ross Cellino's offspring. I don't know if it was a daughter or a son. And then he moved to New York, started doing stuff with Upright Citizens Brigade improv group, got paired together with David Rafailedes, and they were like, oh, we should write something together. And then they had this ridiculous idea. And Ross Cellino and people from the Barnes family came to see the show when the two writers were workshopping it and playing these roles. And then rumor has it that Ross Cellino started texting one of the writers with ideas about stuff that actually happened. Since then, there's no involvement with either of those families. But yeah, so that's how the inside scoop is the Buffalo connection.
Ooh, and Noah, who is Cellino and who is Barnes?
I am Barnes.
Okay.
I'm the other one. Yeah.
And you're Cellino.
Yeah.
Oh, Noah, what has it been like, the reaction when you do this? Firstly, how many times a week do you hear the damn song?
We do the show 8 times a week. And I don't know, is it like at least, 5, 10, 15 times in the show?
Yeah.
12?
I'd say over 50 that we hear a week.
Oh, per week.
Yeah.
Not including our dreams.
So, right. I was going to say it haunts you now. I'm sure it haunts you. So Noah, when you get this on its feet and after you go through do you worry, like, is this really funny? I find it funny. Is the audience going to get it? What's the reaction been like?
Yes, we still worry about that nightly. Yes, because the thing that our writers and our directors did so well is they infused the show with heart and an actual play-like structure, not just a comedy thing. And they demanded it from us, and I hope that we bring it nightly. But yes, predominantly it is a funny show. It's like if SNL writers wanted to write a two-man play. So it has to be funny. And we, those things when you rehearse a comedy in the studio, you don't know how it's going to play outside of the little group of artists that created it. And luckily it plays. And luckily we have writers and directors who, for our preview performances, were like, I think this line's funnier. Try this. And even had the grace to allow us to like, what was that thing you improv tonight? Yes, Eric, that's hysterical. Keep that in, which is really tough as a writer. I don't know if I would want someone else sort of improvising my script. So it's been a great collaboration.
So it's the two of you on stage for now. 80 minutes seems short in our world because you think like, oh, I can go see a Broadway show that's 8 hours long, but 80 minutes is a lifetime if it's not funny. So, so Eric, what's it like? How do you and Noah have built this rapport and chemistry where you get to do this 80 minutes together, where it's you are both carrying the show?
Yes. I will quote my friend Noah by saying it's a relationship that was forged in fear. When we realized that we were going to be on stage together for 80 minutes, and there was like, you really can't phone any moments in, can you? And you really can't like go off stage and catch your breath. And so a tiny story, maybe one of the first previews, the air conditioning broke, and it was the end of July. And when you're doing an 80-minute show and it's 80 degrees in the theater, it was like, well, okay, so we're going to get it fixed, or we're not going to like, we need to do it. So the air conditioning is fixed. But yes, 80 minutes. It's funny because when you're in the flow of it, you don't realize it. You don't realize it does flow if it's flowing, and it always flows if we give over to it. And so it takes a lot of focus, but it also, at this point, we know it so well because that fear bond that we had, we worked on it, just Noah and I, for like 3 weeks before rehearsals began. So we walked in like, bang, this is our idea about it. Let's go. So it is an eternity and an instant is how I would put it.
Absolutely. Noah, when the show ends and you see people in the lobby or at the stage door or your friends and family that come, what do you hope they experience? What do you hope a night at Cellino V Barnes is like?
Well, I hope, first of all, that they just laugh a lot. And because it's an intimate space, we can see them and get furious when some people aren't. Like, how do that's one of my favorite lines. But seriously, I think beyond the laughter, which is the main point of the show, is heart. And it's such a thrown around term. It's like, it's a comedy with heart, but it really is. And people are audibly surprised in these touching moments. We hear them, and that to me is the great thing, because it's really about friendship. And to continue the cheesy path, I did not know Eric. I knew of him and had known his work a little bit, but we didn't really know each other. And it's just so easy because we have really become, well, I'm his, I don't know how he feels about me, but I just admire. I just really like this person, and I like being on stage with him, and he's gracious, because it could also be, with the wrong two comic actors, like competitive.
Right.
And it is just the most generous, like, I'm going to be still during your laugh. Great. You get it. I'm going to augment that by throwing this line. It's just, it's the most fun I've ever had doing a play.
Agreed. All of that.
You're both better actors than me, because I'd walk off and be, how dare you take that laugh? I will trip you off the stage. If you're looking at,
you got to push that down and just like make it hurt yourself with anxiety. Years later, it'll come out. It's fine right now, though.
Okay, good. I'm ready for the tell-all. Years later, when people do the Eric v. Noah show, where what really went on backstage. If you're looking at Eric, we'll go through this together. Eric is a Broadway star. He sings, and if you may have seen him in the King Kong or the Mamma Mia, or you may have seen him in the Marvelous, what's the show? Miss Maisel, and the other television shows, because all stars come from New Jersey. That's just a fact. Sorry, Noah, no offense.
No, it's true.
And Noah, you have quite a television career and commercial career, and career as well as the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and an Elf. It's my dream to be an elf, Noah.
It's coming back to Broadway. And with the power I have in the Broadway community, I'm sure I can get you a role.
Thank you. I don't even need a great role. I don't even need to be Buddy or Charlie. Is that who you were? Wait, am I saying the right one?
I understudied Buddy and played Charlie.
Oh, thank God I got that right.
Yeah, I didn't even remember. Honestly.
I know, but all right. So, because I know Charlie is also in the Santa Claus, which is not a musical yet, but I got confused. So you both have this litany of experience, and then you bring television, you bring Broadway, and how does that lend to a show like, this is not a cast, this is not King Kong, where there's a gigantic ape and there's a gigantic cast and a score. And Noah, this is not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where there's lots of kids and it's material that we all know and love, and we could all sing Pure Imagination and we all have a moment. You're introducing this. So and it's just the two of you, really. So Eric, what's the difference?
Correct. It's also our show is staged fully in the thrust. Like the theater is like a 3-sided situation. There's like stadium seating, the stage, and then there's other seats right here, right? So you really are surrounded by the audience. So there's like a part of it that does feel like you're doing something intimately on camera, because like there's part of the audience where I'm responding to something that he says and like they're gonna see it and they won't. So you're just in it. It's sort of like everything else in that way, except like I said, you really need to be focused. It feels like every sort of show feels like an exercise in focus for me. As crazy and as funny as it is, the stuff that you've been paying attention, that you've been focusing, when the payoff comes at the end, when people go, and there's several times when people are like, oh, and then you hear people laugh at them going, oh, and then there's more laughter, and we're sort of like, that's what we're going for. The like, oh my God, I got caught up in this relationship amidst all of the ridiculousness. So it feels like just staying with your partner.
And Noah, how do you stay? I would be very distracted. You see people, you're watching people, you can see the audience.
Oh yeah. I mean, they are literally, their feet are like right where we are. It's very close. I kind of hear Jack O'Brien in my head, our director from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And this is something we know, but he hammered it home so clearly, that each show has to be a reinvestigation of the journey between the two characters. And even on a silly show like this, like I have to try to get Eric's approval and get the job and have him like me. And I have to go through it and not know what the outcome will be. And the other side of, and so I keep hearing Jack's wise words. And the other side of that is, I think if actors are truly honest, that when we're on stage, especially, we are constantly, it is a mixture of really being in the moment, really being completely distracted and like, oh my God, hey, oh, that line went well. Oh, I got that. I didn't get that laugh. Oh, is that like my old agent was in the audience yesterday. So constantly going, almost like yoga work. It's like, yep, that is a fire truck going by. Breathe it in. Okay, good. And we're back to the focus. So I wish I could say I'm in character. I mean, hopefully it looks that way for an hour or for 80 minutes, but I'm constantly doing that. And that's what we should be doing, I think, too, because especially with live theater, it is a duet with the audience as it is, as much as it is with our scene partner.
Oh, that's such good advice. And to stay taking it moment even if it's the 8th show a week, you still have to find that truth, and it's exhausting. I'm tired. I feel tired for you both. Eric, do you it's a story about a relationship. So do you learn something? I know it's funny and I know we're gonna laugh, but is there a message, a moral, a lesson about the relationship, business, personal, that is told in the story?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because there really is an arc for both of these characters. I mean, if you come and see the show, you'll get it, but it feels like they both start out from places of either absolute ego or absolute trying to get validation, and they go on journeys and sort of end up more human by the end of the show. And Noah's absolutely right, and Jack O'Brien is absolutely right. I mean, like, I guess he's got a career. I don't know, but he seems to be right when he says it is a reinvestigation of like what's going on. And the most satisfying shows, as tiring as they are, they're so satisfying when I find myself discovering something new on stage with my scene partner and with the other scene partner of the audience. You're just like, you're in tune with all the stuff, and it's great.
Well, I'm maybe this is a spoiler alert. Maybe I'm not supposed to ask this question, but is Cellino and Barnes, are they alive? Are they living somewhere? Did they go to jail? Are they locked up with the Menendez brothers? Like, what happened to them?
I can say Eric will take the other half, but Barnes sadly died.
Okay.
A few years after they split their firm apart. in a plane crash.
Oh my gosh.
And I will also add that there was an article in the New York Times done about our show. It wasn't a review. It was just a really lovely article about us and the firm. And they interviewed Cellino, who said at the end of the interview, if I had it all to do again, I wouldn't have split up with Barnes. He was a really good guy. I'm misquoting a little bit, and I thought that's lovely. And that is also, if you know the truth of what happened and then you see this play, it's heartbreaking. Not to compare it to Titanic, but going to see Titanic, like we know how it ends, and you watch these people who don't in the movie. And so it's just such a waste to ruin friendship and success and connection because it's so hard to find. And these guys did that. And to hear the living one of the two say he regretted it is very sweet.
Oh my goodness. That is, life is short, and we worry about some things that are not very trivial, and we ruin relationships over things that are not. I'm assuming, because I don't know the whole story, but it feels like success and greed and power and competition sometimes lend to unnecessary things. Oh, Eric.
Yeah.
Your guy's still alive. Did you ever wish you could see it?
My guy's still alive. My guy, Ross Cellino, still has the Cellino. I think it's called the Cellino firm now. A lot of his family works there. I believe he's still in Buffalo where they started. And he did see a version of the show where the writers were workshopping it up in Buffalo, and he got to see it. And apparently he thought it was a fun time. So.
What I'm amazed by the Cellino and Bar, the commercials and the jingle is what people know. But there's a brilliant, and I'm sure you go into it, how it happened and why it happened. And I would love to know how much money they spent on commercials throughout these years, because a lot.
Yeah.
I hope that whoever sang that didn't get a buyout and got paid every time that aired.
Do we know who actually sang it, Noah?
So there's different versions of the story. One of the versions we heard was that the guys that Cellino especially helped write it. And that is probably true in terms of him saying, this is what I think it should be. But I saw an interview, as I did about 9 minutes of research when I got cast. Not because I was busy. I just didn't want to do much. And I saw an interview on YouTube of the guy who wrote it, because a handful of years ago, a bunch of Broadway casts got together.
Yes.
They were, right. And they all sang the jingle, but in beautiful Broadway harmonies. And so they interviewed the guy who wrote it, who I think was like a local composer, who I forget if it was like $1,500, whatever he got paid, a really obviously great composer, wrote this thing and said, he was saying, like, I thought it was really cool that all these Broadway stars were singing my song. So I don't know how it evolved into what it was, but I believe that guy wrote it.
Well, firstly, I have a lot of thoughts, so I have to come see your show. My first thought is, how the hell do you get that number? Because you can't get that number anymore. You're not getting the 8888888.
We tried it. Oh no, and I tried it together. We called it together, and it's disconnected at the moment. So
because the Barnes firm still exists also, and Steve Barnes still does they have the videos of him doing his commercials. So if you didn't know they had passed away, it's still him up there doing the commercials. And I think they now have like 800,000,000, like 8 million.
Come on.
They all have. Yeah, and there's other lawyers I see all over posting with a lot of different 8s and like close proximity to our character's phone number. But I think they paid 100. Again, I'm probably making this up because I did not do research. But I think they paid 150,000 for the number. Maybe I'm making that up. Seems like a good investment.
Well, I didn't do any research for this interview either. All I've got is Cellino-V Barnes. Cellino-V / you know what it is. It's on the screen and it's below us if you're listening to us. And if you want to know, I have a controversial questions that we've been talking about commercials. Can I just ask one before you go? It has nothing to do with Cellino and Barnes. Eric is a TV and Broadway person. And Noah, when you look at and do research, 8 minutes of research on you both, you've done like 170 commercials.
You have?
I had a really good commercial run.
Man,
it's kind of dried up. I don't do as many, but there were a number of years, maybe, I don't know, a lot where I was very lucky in the commercial world and the voiceover world for a long time, which is really because, we talk about this, like actors, you can see your favorite Broadway actors. And now if you're like the biggest Broadway star, you've got plenty of money. But a lot of just working Broadway actors, right? Like Eric, like huge Broadway star, millionaire. Look at the artwork. Look at it. Look at that.
The dirty laundry.
Look at that. Someone comes in and does it. He's not doing that laundry.
I don't know their name either. They just come in and they do it, and then it comes out.
Mm-hmm. But it is an actor sort of compiles all different things to make their living throughout the year. So it was very fortunate to have voiceovers and commercials running while I was doing Broadway shows, and that's how I was able to save a little and not have to stress, and which makes you a better auditioner because you want the job, but you're not panicked if you don't get it.
Absolutely. Well, you both are a trip. I'm so grateful that you're both here. I want you could follow Noah on Instagram. You can, and the links are below if you're listening to us and you can't see our faces. You can follow Eric on Instagram as well. And then you can go to Cellino-V-Barnes and you can get your tickets so that you can make sure that you check out the show. It's running in New York City. The theater's cute. I love the space.
It's great.
There's not a bad seat in the house. You'll be literally right up in there. So everybody check it out, and congratulations to you both.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
I'll be singing this damn song for the rest of the night.
Let us know when you're coming.
All right, that's a deal. I'll be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.